Yes, yes. We want you to know that this is going to be the beginning of a huge ascension process. You all know this already, but this is a reminder. It is a reminder that this is the beginning. It is not the middle point. It is the beginning of the shift that you have been speaking of. Before this shift, you have just been feeling the subtleties of what was to come, but this is actually the beginning. This is the start of the journey of ascension. And when we say beginning, this is in accordance to the COVID-19 lockdown. At the beginning of any journey, there is stillness. At the beginning of the journey of life, there is stillness within the womb. This is a reflection of that archetype within the journey of life. You are currently in the womb. This is the lockdown process. Yes, there are many different layers of creation that have assisted in this womb-like beginning creation of ascension. So please do not spiritual bypass the other aspects of this creation, but this is the start of the ascension shift you have been speaking and thinking and believing in since your awakening procedure. So let's begin, as this is the beginning. To start, you must be in stillness. Like a baby, you are not aware that you are in stillness. It just is. This is a time for you to be consciously still. You have to be in your own power and free will. Say to yourself and act in stillness. I will be still, and therefore I am still, trusting that this is for my and others' highest good. Action is what will come from fear in this time. Stillness is what will come from trust. Trust is the answer. Trust is the key to ascension. Self-trust is what will elevate you into this shift. And your first exercise into self-trust is stillness. Trusting the process is being free in your own actions and conscious decisions in accordance with the process. The process of life is forced upon you through the veil of amnesia, but now that is being lifted, and therefore your responsibility for your journey into the new life, into the new realm, starts now. This is a time of complete maturity, groundedness, and responsibility, intuition, and self-trust. This is not a state of ecstasy in the way that you might have perceived it. It is a state of true enlightenment, which means true responsibility, which means true self-trust. And for now, we ask you to trust your instincts and to trust your environment of which it has placed you in, which is isolation, which is stillness. Stillness will help you evolve very quickly now. The mindfulness practices that have been popular over the last 10 years have been preparing you for this shift. That was not the shift. That was preparation for the shift. The shift is now. Be in stillness, and therefore you will be in trust. And trust is the key to ascension. Yes. Self-trust we will elaborate on. In order to understand self-trust, you must split these into two. Understanding the self and understanding trust itself. We will go into the self. The self is an amalgamation of different fragments of creation. You are a microcosm of the great universe, as to speak, of the great one, as to speak. This means that you are all that is, and this is hard to imagine. So we will ask you first just to imagine and work with yourself. To understand the whole picture is not necessary for most of you. So come back into understanding the self. The layers of the self as a human. There is mortality and there is immortality. If mortality and immortality had a baby, it would be you. These are the two aspects of the self. Then there are fragmented aspects of the self. There are ways for you to dig deep into this, and the trauma work, in which has been creating a preparation practice for now, has shined light on the different fragments of the self. But the self is wholeness. It is not oneness, it is wholeness, which is why we ask you to focus on the self and not the universe at large. Wholeness, self-trust, whole trust, wholeness trust. This means that you must become whole, and that means unifying the dark and the light aspects of yourself to become whole instead of good. We want you to be whole, and therefore being the self. Without being the self, you cannot fully be in the vibration of self-trust, and therefore not fully be in the vibration of the new world and of the new universe. Do not fear the self, for the self is that which will help you evolve into that which you desire and believe in. Yes. Trust. We will now go into trust. Trust is the vibration of unification. It is more the movement of unification than unification itself. To pull inwards, to connect to that which you trust, you become close with. That which you distrust, you become away from, you repel. To trust the self means you will unify with yourself and therefore with your higher self as well. Bringing your own self towards you is what will give you the trust in your own intuition, in your own responsibilities and maturity, as which we have discussed already, is part of the ascension process. Responsibility for now seems like a burden only because you do not trust yourselves. Responsibility and maturity will feel freeing and joyful if you fully were in the vibration of self-trust. Fear-based manipulation will not be able to be carried if one is in the vibration of self-trust. For now, to be in the vibration of self-trust is to be still, is to consciously and willingly be in the wombs of your own environment, of your own home, of your own minds and hearts. Intuition is what is being activated through the uncertainty that this planet is now within. When there is uncertainty, all there is intuition to help guide you through what is of your highest interest. This is a great gift in regards to activating the self-trust exercise of intuition. Both come together. If we were fully intuitive on this planet, there would be no control. Intuition and self-trust are the practices of ascension and the practices of global freedom. This is now being given to us on a plate. If you feel you are someone who is not trustworthy, first you must focus on the self. If you are not whole, then you will not be trustworthy. No one is completely whole on earth yet. Do not judge this. This is just because you are not yet ascended. Coming into being whole means coming into being self-aware and therefore bringing those aspects of you closer, alchemizing them within you through the vibration of trust, the vibration of unification. This will happen naturally. It is a natural state of being, which is why trust is the answer. Trust isn't forced, it is trusted. Fear is forced. You will become whole. You must embrace the flavors of your traumas and personality traits. You must connect deep into your darkness now. It is safe to do this, and it can be done easily through stillness and meditation. Some will not have to be consciously processed like it was in the prepping for this shift. As this shift now will release many of the old contracts that do not need to be analyzed any further. Yes, self-trust is the key to ascension. A state of being so powerful, it cannot be manipulated. It cannot be adjusted into a lower frequency of confusion. And now the only thing you have to do is trust the process, and the process is now at the beginning of a new journey. And at any beginning of any new journey, there is stillness. Trust where you are and be willing to play with us, to be a co-creator. Trust in our guidance. Trust in your own intuition. Be free in responsibility. Enhance your maturity practices. Be in your own power now through stillness and trust. Thank you and goodbye.